So just really look at it as people taking care of people. And that's actually one of my hashtags for Ag Eco is people taking care of people. And I could just leave it at that. I think that'll cover the whole, everything I'm trying to say that I can't articulate right now. Just people taking, urban ag is people taking care of people.
In this episode of Voices from the Field, we travel to Jackson, Mississippi for a discussion of urban agriculture with NCAT Sustainable Agriculture Specialist Felicia Bell and Otis Wright, an urban farm manager and consultant. Otis talks about his experience with urban agriculture as well as the ways he has found that urban agriculture can benefit communities beyond providing nutritious food. Let's listen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our NCAT podcast. I am Felicia Bell from the Gulf States Regional Office located in Jackson, Mississippi. We're here today with a dear friend, Mr. Otis Wright. I've known him for many years, and I'm going to let him give his history of just the various things he have done on the agriculture front here in Mississippi. He'll work for various organizations. He has his own consulting business, so I want him to share that as well. But it's just an honor to have you, Mr. Otis, to be able to share your work in urban agriculture. That's something that a lot of people are looking into now, especially since we've gone through COVID, still within COVID. People are looking to do for self. But then we also have community people that are in urban areas, not in rural areas, that want to do for self. So that will be our topic for today, urban agriculture. And first and foremost, Mr. Otis, I would just like for you to share your history and background of being in agriculture.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I have to kind of go back to my family roots. I come from a family farm. My great grandfather migrated from Mississippi just over the bridge to Northeast Louisiana. And so I kind of got my first experience and just the love of the actual land from just being on the family property. And that was, growing up and having that open field to just run through and seeing my family farm off and on. And then some years they would lease it to other African-American farmers, and just being a part of that, and just that freedom and having that respect and that love for the actual land. Understanding that this is sacred. This is sacred ground that my great grandfather worked for in the early 1900s for a Black man to own as much as he owned, and was able to accomplish the things that he accomplished, being one of the only very few Black men that had a vehicle and actually had white people. And I heard a white guy told me this. He said my great grandfather had white people working for him. And that was unheard of for African American in the early 1900s in KKK territory, so to speak, Northeast Louisiana. That's Madison Parish. The city is to Alula. And so that right there, to me, at an early age, I think sparked this passion, and it has never died down. I've tried to do other things. I've tried to figure out if I would be successful at, other jobs and, careers, but this agriculture thing just stuck with me. So I ended up going to Alcorn State University, which was automatic for me to go there, being that on my mother's side, my whole family went there. We were, I think, 5th generation Alcornites. But when I got to Alcorn, I never thought about agriculture. I just knew I was going to Alcorn, but I never thought about agriculture. And there was a friend of mine, it was my sophomore, I was coming into my sophomore year. And just like most freshmen, I think I put on there, when you have to do your major, when they ask you what your major is going to be, you just put down business till you find out exactly what it is you want to do. Most people put down business or marketing or something like that, just something, just to have down there. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I've done a year at school, but I really don't know exactly what I want to do. But I know I don't want to be stuck in the office every day. And I had a friend of mine, I was walking and he had picked me up and he said, man, I'm headed to the ag building. He said, hey, you want to go? And I'm like, the ag building? I said, yeah. I said, let's check it out. I said, you're an ag major? And he was like, yeah. He told me what he majored in, and it sounded good to me. So I checked out all the ag majors and stuff, and I had an uncle who majored in agriculture too. And I said, man, well, I'll check it out. And just him picking me up and taking me to the ag building gave me a passion. I mean, that's what stuck with me. That's what I decided to do. And so, years went by, and so I'm an ag econ major. That's my actual major. And so when I graduated from Alcorn in 2006, I came back home and I worked for AmeriCorps. And I did that for 2 years. And so happens be that I ended up being the farmer's market manager at a market that we were trying to get kicked off in my hometown. And so I was doing that under the supervision of the Southern University Ag Center, LSU Southern University Ag Center. And so I did that for 2 years. And within that last year of me doing that, I went to the Alcorn Small Farmers Conference. Now, I had been at Alcorn for 4 years. Nobody ever mentioned to us that Alcorn had a small farmers conference. And, and I kind of look back now and I kind of get a little upset and say, we should have been a little bit more involved in that. I'm pretty sure now it's probably has changed. I'm pretty sure the ag students know about the small farmers conference, but I had no idea. I went to 4 years without it. So my supervisor said that, hey, she said they're having a small farmers conference. That year it was in Vicksburg. And I ended up meeting the legendary Ben Burkett. And I met him there, and he told me, he said, man, we're going to get ready to do some cooperative things over in South Louisiana. He said, I gave him my phone number and everything. So I thought I was going to end up probably working for them, but I was going to be able to stay in Louisiana. And so months went by because the Small Farmers Conference is usually in like March or April. And I never heard anything until like the late fall. I got a call from the main office said that Darnella Burkett, Mississippi Association of Cooperatives, been trying to reach you for the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay. And so I called, and they told me to come over for an interview. And I went for an interview. It was October 17th of 2008. October 17th, 2008, I think. That's the day that I had the interview with them. And that's how I got here back to the state of Mississippi from Louisiana. And so I started off with MAC, Mississippi Association of Cooperatives. And I was on the 2501 program. I served as the ag specialist for Hinds, Madison, and Rankin counties. And we did that. I did that until October 2013, I think, is when the 2501, I was serving under the 2501 program. If anybody doesn't, if you're not familiar with the 2501 program, it's the social disadvantaged outreach program that USDA offers to colleges and nonprofits. And so we ended up getting laid off, and I did some odd and end jobs, and that was when I went through my season of, okay, I'm done with ag, I'm gonna find something else. But the ag just came back, and so I did some odd and end jobs, and I was working at a plant for a little while. I sold insurance. I can't tell you guys how many jobs I had within that 2-year period before I was able to get back into full-blown agriculture. And so in January of 15 or 16, I heard about Tougaloo College. It was a friend of mine told me about Tougaloo College. Had a 2501 program, and they didn't have anybody on the actual staff yet. Yeah, they hadn't hired anybody to actually do the work, and they were about maybe 2 or 3 months into the program. And he said, "I'm gonna put a good word in for you," and he put a good word in for me, and they hired me on the spot. And so I served as the outreach specialist for Tougaloo College 2501 program. And when the next fiscal year started, because I started in February. When the new fiscal year started, they said, hey, we're going to put you over the program because you already know the people, you already understand the work. And so I actually became the director of Tougaloo College 2501 program. That was a big honor for me. We made a lot of treadway in the Mississippi Delta that we are still seeing now. We're still seeing the results from the work that we put in. And it's just amazing to see those guys still going. It's a good team of people up there already that was up there. And we just kind of helped them to just kind of network and get some other things going. And they're still going strong. So I'm very proud to say that. And I'm still in connection with them now. So anyway, long story short, of course, with any kind of funding, it can be up and down sometimes. and we ended up getting, we didn't get funded that third year. We didn't get funded. So October of 2018, we got laid off, but I went straight to a job in about 2 weeks. I went to the Jackson Medical Mall, and that's when I started getting into the urban farm. So Jackson Medical Mall, if you don't know about them, Jackson Medical Mall is used to be the old Jackson Mall, used to be an old retail mall that Dr. Shirley decided to renovate and change it into a medical hub right there in a very highly populated African-American area, African-American neighborhood. And so now it's a hub for, I can't tell you how many different medical offices. There's clinics, all kind of clinics, eye doctors, and children's daycare. My son actually goes to daycare there. There's so much going on right there at the Jackson Medical Mall. So one of their goals was to establish some community gardens. And so they pretty much had purchased this neighborhood that's adjacent to them. And they redid the houses, they built townhouses, just really uplifted the neighborhood, gave it a good facelift. They put a park, and we also, and so I came in and we started doing gardens. And so we established about 2 gardens on the properties that the medical mall on 2 properties that they own. And that was when I started really getting my field into urban farming. And so with that, I also started working for 100 Black men who have a high tunnel, and they're in the heart of Jackson too, that they serve their mentees. They are a mentorship organization. If you don't know about 100 Black men, you ought to check them out. You can Google them. And so that kind of added on to my urban farming experience. And now we got the Tuvalu garden back, and we have a new high tunnel there. And so, so I guess we go to the next question now. I kind of talk kind of long. I'm sorry about that.
No. That's what we needed. The only thing you didn't add is your personal business. You into your own business.
Right. Okay. So I have a small LLC. It's me and my wife, and I do urban farming. I help people do urban farming, but not only do urban farming but we consult if there's a nonprofit, you have USDA grants, anything that you need to execute, grants that you need to execute, dealing with agriculture, you can call on us. And so we do urban farming, we do 2501 work, outreach, any kind of outreach work, and also dealing with schools, daycares, anybody that's doing any kind of farming or gardening, we can help you. And so I also work as a contractor with Hinds County Soil Water Conservation, and that's under USDA NRCS. That's my 9 to 5, and everything after 5 o'clock is, Ag Eco. That's the name of my consulting company. And so I'm agriculture all the way now, working with Hinds County Soil Water Conservation, partnering with USDA, really has given me a good lesson on the actual policies and stuff, so I can really understand now the things that need to be changed and the things that are working and things that are not working. I can really see it now. Before then, being an advocate, with 2501, you kind of working as a middleman and advocate, but working with USDA now and the soil water conservation as a contractor, I have access to all of the policy and so I can get an understanding now of really the things that go on behind the scenes. And now I can really push our farmers forward. And that's really been a blessing because, I can use that to really help now, to really take it to the next level. And so we are all things agriculture, and I'm excited whenever anybody wants help or have any questions about anything. If you're trying to help people, you're trying to feed people, then if you're trying to push the small farmers, trying to keep them going, I'm definitely forward, and I'm definitely ready and able to help.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. You answered basically my first 2 questions. My third question is your perspective coming from rural agriculture to urban agriculture. What is your perspective on that and the differences?
Right. So my perspective, this is something that I learned. Rural and urban people, especially African-American people, are dealing with the same issues. The only difference is is rural versus the urban. It's the same issues that are plaguing us as a whole, whether you're in the country or whether you're in the heart of the city. It's the same issues, and that's access to food, and that's access to healthy food. So yeah, that's kind of that's my perspective. It's the same issues. There is no difference. An issue is an issue, and that issue is what they say countrywide. That's a countrywide issue. Access to healthy food, whether you rural or urban, it's the same problem. I mean, that's the common the denominator, as they say, is the access to healthy food.
Now, to elaborate more on that answer, could you be specific on what challenges and barriers you have with all the various entities you have worked for as implementing urban agriculture in Mississippi?
Okay, so implementing urban ag, I think one of the biggest conflicts is, well, I'm gonna say this, it's still a conflict, but I think COVID, and I've said this before, COVID gave us a whole new audience. I say that. Urban ag thrived during COVID, during this first wave of the pandemic. One of our biggest issues with urban ag is getting people to come and shop at farmers markets, at our urban farmers markets, getting people to come out and actually help implement the actual gardens. People in the urban setting are more likely to go to your Walmarts because it's a one-stop shop. But during COVID, people didn't want to be around people, and they came to smaller settings. And so I think now, because I don't think we're ever going to get back to a straight up normal, because I think now we're going to have another shutdown. I'm prophesying that it's probably going to be another shutdown. But what I'm saying is that was one of the main issues, was getting more, the people in the rural areas, to me, for what I saw, most of them knew about farmers markets. I've never met so many people until I came to the urban setting that really didn't even know about a farmer's market. They didn't understand the purpose of it. They didn't understand that, this is local farmers who are coming here selling, and then they're going straight back to the ground. You're not giving your money to a company, to a big chain store, and you're never gonna see this again. They're going right back out, and these guys are 15, 20 miles from you, and they'll bring you back this healthy stuff. And I think COVID helped shift that urban mindset of buying local, buying fresh, and supporting local farmers. So I would say that was one of our issues before COVID. But COVID, I mean, it was a curse, but it was a blessing at the same time. Small farmers in that was supplying urban markets, I think, thrive pretty good. And I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. And other thing I'm gonna add to that, for as a question is concern is the need of the people. So the first thing I hear is access to healthy food. So other needs of the people, the community. Yeah, because see, most urban agriculture is surrounded by neighborhoods.
Right.
So you did say access to healthy food, but then what other things that you feel like is needed from you all, or from the ag perspective, to help them be successful, be healthy, be more involved in the garden, in the farms, and so forth around the country?
Right. So the biggest thing that's needed, that I think that the people needed, was outreach and education. There was an understanding and a knowledge gap. When you get to talking to people, and that was part of our deal. You remember when we were, before COVID hit, we were planning on getting people in the actual markets and having those community workshops and doing that type of outreach. I've seen people respond well when you really break it down to them, like, okay, this is fresh, this is healthy. This is stuff that we are growing. This is not stuff that's coming from Mexico and California. This is local healthy food that you can take part in the actual output of it. And I think that the education piece, just helping them understand health. In that area, that's around a medical mall. If I'm not mistaken, every other household, you had somebody that had diabetes, or you had somebody that had cancer. And so when you go to throwing those issues in there and and helping people understand it, all this goes back to the type of food that we eat. It becomes a little easier to really persuade and get them to understand the reason why they should support and the reason why they should want to help with their access to this healthy food. So it's the education and just giving that knowledge, putting that information out there. Like, we can grow our own medicine right here in these neighborhoods. We can take care of ourselves, because when you think about it, now it was not part of my generation, but yours and people that's a tad bit older. That's how we operated back in the day. Everybody shared. People bought it. Everybody grew something. People raised stuff. I hear the same thing I heard when I was little. I hear it now about how people would kill hogs and kill a cow, and the whole street, the whole road got something off of it. We have to go back to that wanting to take care of each other. And I think that's one of the things that we have been conditioned not to do. And I know that'll go into a whole nother conversation, because then you get to talking about social justice and everything else. But what I'm saying is, I think if we care just a little bit more, and if we love and we put that information out, that this is not just a garden to beautify this urban area. This is a garden to help heal this area. And so, I hope I answered that.
I appreciate you saying that we do need more one-on-one care for one another. And thank you for sharing the education piece, because that's why our organization, for as NCAT and many, many, many other organizations that produce materials, are here, because we want to be able to offer the education to urban, rural, it doesn't matter. Whomever want the information, we want to provide it to them, so then they have a leg up in producing food for themselves. So thank you for adding that in, because that is the key. If you don't know what you need, how will you respond to you as a contractor coming in doing the work and so forth? So thank you for adding that. My next question is, do you get community volunteers? And if not, why?
So when I was at the medical mall, I depended on volunteers. And yes, we did get a few from the neighborhood. We actually got a few from the actual job. Some of the ladies and men that are in the actual management part of Jackson Medical Mall will come out and help. We had, to be honest with you, more older women came out more than men would. And they would work. I mean, they would outwork the guys. So I would always look for like those women, because they were always ready to volunteer, and they stay with you all day. Guys would come out there and be like, all right, man, they've done an hour and they be ready to go. But those older women volunteers will stick with you all day. And so, yes, I think I had a pretty good response in volunteers coming to help out. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
Great. And I always feel like the older ladies and just women in general, of course, are feeding others. So I think that's the reason why they know the importance. Women usually know the importance of good food, getting access to food, because we are always feeding someone else, regardless if it's children, regardless if it's the community. Yes, right. Always feeding someone else. So that's great to hear that it's the older ladies, they getting their exercise, but then they're getting food too.
and then we would have people who they wouldn't necessarily help, but they would stop, they would get out the car, the truck, and they were like, man, this is stuff that we used to do when we were kids. And then you get to talking to people, and what you already know, the majority of those older people, I say if they're 60 and over, the majority of those people came from a rural setting.
Yes.
And so you had people who came from the rural areas around here, like out here in Rankin County and Terry, Mississippi, and Canton, way out in Canton, different places like that. They came off the farm. So it was one lady, she said, I hadn't picked purple hull peas in 50 years.
Wow.
And she was like, I'm gonna pick these peas by hand, and I'm gonna shell them by hand. She said, I hadn't done this in 50 years. And she said, this reminds me of being back out there in Canton, out in the country part of Canton. and she would come and pick those peas, and she would shell them. She would shell them. So
wow, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
That is such an amazing story. Now, what has been the business owner response to them being in proximity to some of your locations? Have they been open to the ag near their businesses, or did they feel like it was diminishing their property and value of their property? What has been their response over the years?
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you this. Over here in Jackson, I hadn't had any bad response, and I guess being that we were on such a busy road and across down from one of the grocery stores, then the business that were next door, all of them, some of them would come out and just look like, man, they would say how good it looked. Only issue I had when I first started, and this goes back home. This goes back home to Louisiana. We had a farmer's market, and one year we had the best greens. We had so many greens coming in to the point where people were really spreading the word, and the guy from the grocery store, somebody came over from the grocery store, was like, yeah, y'all got him talking. He talking about he gonna have to drop his green prices because he ain't selling no greens, because we were across the street. And we would have people waiting, people waiting on the green man to get there. And he was from the outer parts. He was actually from close to what we call Delta, Louisiana. And so he was right by the river. So whenever the river would get high, he would get that, and which can be bad if it's too much, but he would get that seep water, and those greens would thrive off as long as it don't stay wet, But he would get that good seep water and all that silt that would come through from the flooding, and his greens were just awesome. I'm talking about, and we would sell, and we sold so much to where the grocery store owner was like getting mad about it. He was like, he gonna have to drop his prices because he wasn't selling green. So, but other than that, no, I think people were very, very happy to see that. I can't tell you how many people would, when I would mention that, we had a garden over by Jackson Medical Mall, they'd be like, oh, that's the one on Bailey Avenue. I'm like, yeah. Like, oh man, yeah, that's pretty, man. That's pretty. Or somebody would mention, yeah, I'll be seeing you over there, So I think that it's urban ag has the potential to really not change just the cosmetics, but I think it'll change people. And I think it's something that urban people in urban settings, can really come together and do. We can come together more than just coming to the basketball park, or to the block party. We had a block party at the actual garden. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that, I think it can serve as a unifier, so to speak, for a lack of better word, I say that. Yeah. And that's really what it has been doing. I got friends in Ohio and California, different places who are doing urban ag, and they are really using it as a social bridge. Mm-hmm. And so I think we all should kind of follow suit. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I believe an economy builder.
Yeah.
Because you can hire people within the neighborhood. Again, like you said, a bartering system. If you're working with low-income people in the city, they may not have the financial resources to pay for things, but then they can definitely come and help, and then be able to get produce.
Exactly.
For their work and so forth. So it's a builder all around. But that's what I always feel like as well, that it's just assisting the communities. Now, do you feel like this farming method for as urban agriculture is sustainable? What's your perspective on that?
I think it is sustainable, but it's not going to be sustainable if you don't put the need for it out there. And just going back to what we were saying at first about it being something that helping people understand that this is not just food to eat, but this is medicine. And I think if we can change mindsets to get people to understand that urban ag will be sustainable, and it will forever be here. And one of my key selling points about urban agriculture is why depend on anybody to feed you? You know what I'm saying? Why should you depend on grocery stores If you have a backyard, we can set your backyard up no matter how big or how small it is. We can set you up to feed each other and enough to feed the person next door to you. So I think urban ag can be sustainable, and it will be sustainable as long as we keep putting the information and close those learning gaps. And also, like you said, make it to where people can get jobs, make it a way of economic or financial freedom, so to speak. You know, you can come here and we can pay you a salary to help keep this garden up. We can get these grants, these programs. We get funded by the state to throw so much money into it and really create a whole nother sector of income for people. I mean, I think it'd be cool for you to just get up and walk across the street to a job that's paying you and above poverty wage. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you get to play, and you get to play in the dirt all day, you know. And so that's kind of the way, kind of how I look at it.
And I feel like that's what all of us are fortunate to do, even if we're working in rural agriculture. It has been such a tremendous time to play in the dirt, talk to people, enjoy what you do and love what you do. So I appreciate you so much, Mr. Otis, for sharing your story and all of the various ways that you have tapped into the communities in Mississippi. I would love for you to give closing remarks on the emphasis of anyone that wants to start an urban farm, urban garden.
Okay. First of all, I would like to say, if you even have the notion or the idea to do it, that is God sent. That is a message. That is a sign that what you're thinking about doing is something that is needed. And I also want people to understand when you do it, make sure you think about other people. Don't just look at it as I'm gonna feed me. Look at it as being able to go back to where we used to have the mindset of loving our neighbor. So urban ag, you know, don't let anything hold you back from it. In different cities, there might be different codes, different laws that you might have to go through, and we can help too. We can help with that. We can make sure that that you have the proper water systems to keep the backwater from the chemicals. If you decide to use chemicals, we can help you with that to make sure that you're not getting that stuff. I hope you don't use chemicals, but hope that you don't get that stuff back into the actual groundwater, because you know, that goes back to being safe. And just, you know, it's a lot of little things that I can say about it, but overall, this is just you being independent and taking care of yourself and others. Urban ag is you being independent, you being free, and being able to take care of others. I believe that I can't have freedom if you don't have freedom. If you're struggling and you can't eat, and I'm sitting up on this hill and I'm eating and I got everything that I need, I'm gonna feel, me personally, I feel some type of way if I know that somebody next door to me is struggling. So just really look at it as people taking care of people. And that's actually one of my hashtags for Ag Eco, is people taking care of people. And I could just leave it at that. I think that'll cover the whole, everything I'm trying to say that I can't articulate right now. Just people taking, urban ag is people taking care of people.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that, and just always, always appreciate your knowledge, your expertise when it comes to agriculture in general. Not just urban agriculture, but just thank you for being out here helping so many people in Mississippi. But I know you have helped people all around. You have traveled to various conferences. You have spoken at various things. And so I know you're helping people countrywide. So I definitely want to put out there that I appreciate you loving agriculture. That's what we need, again, as you've been saying, not only us, but as professionals, but we need the people to love agriculture again.
I would like to say that, you know, I tell you all the time, you know, you have been, because I don't want all the accolades. I want people to really understand you too, and you and your sons. You know, you have been that pillar that a lot of us have really looked to, because you are one of the few that we always say that is actual period when it comes down to agriculture. And so we really appreciate you just being who you are, being outspoken. I often refer to you as a quiet storm. because I really feel like, you're not a person who tries to be on stage and try to be in front of folk, but when you speak, when you talk, I think everybody listens. And I know that me personally, I have, and I really look at you as a mentor. So anything that you're doing, you know me, I always want to be a part of it some kind of way, because I know I'm gonna be able to get something from it, and it's gonna be pure and something that I can take back and I can help others. So we definitely appreciate you too.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And just having you today, I appreciate your time. Don't want to hold you any longer. But today we have been visited and just have been welcomed with such information from Mr. Otis Wright. You have heard his story. He loves agriculture. He eat, drink, and sleep agriculture, but he loves people and he loves helping people. And that's what we try to do here at NCAT. Our specialists are around the country. We love what we do, and we just want to share the people that we work with. These are our partners in our various locations. And so we thank you so much, Mr. Otis, for being here. Hopefully we can interview again on other topics. Please let us know if there's any other things that you're doing with Ag Eco, as well as the other nonprofits that you're working with in your area, if it's something that they are willing to share with the country. This is an informational hub for as NCAT is concerned, and we want to just put the information out there to share with others. So any parting last words, you have the floor.
Oh, just keep on growing. And when I say growing, I mean mentally, physically, spiritually, and of course, straight out the dirt, the soil, because we're supposed to say soil, not supposed to say dirt. I was taught that my soil professor said dirt is what's under your fingernail, soil is on the actual ground. Yeah. So, but also, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but be on the lookout for Tougaloo College Farm Aid and our agri-growth program. We got a lot of big things we're trying to do this coming fall. We are going to be probably one of the first colleges that are actually going to be supplementing the actual cafeterias on the actual campus. That's part of our goal this year. So be on the lookout for that. I can't leave those guys out. The Broderick Woods and attorney Julian Miller. I can't leave those guys out. They've been doing some great things, and I'm just looking forward to being able to partner with them and really make some more urban ag things happen for us all. So y'all be on the lookout for that. And thank you for even considering me. I don't consider myself as an expert in this. I just consider myself as a person who tries to learn, and just a person who I feel like the Lord has just said, this is what you're supposed to do, and I'm just trying to do it. So this is part of my ministry too, I guess you could say. So I'm just thankful to be here, and thank you guys at NCAT for even considering talking to me. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you. And again, that's Tougaloo College. There are programs that are coming up, and want to share. Tougaloo College is not a land grant university. And so we want to share that we have colleges and universities around the country that's in the ag industry, in the agriculture sector, that are not land grant institutions, but they come to the front of the pack for the need of their community. That's why they're doing it. And so I thank you, Mr. Otis, for working there. Kudos to the other partners that are working with you. I want to make sure I spell the Tougaloo, Tougaloo. So please look up Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi, and look for their agriculture program to support. Thanks again, Mr. Otis. Glad you could join us today.
Thank y'all.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Additional information about this episode and related resources can be found at attra.ncat.org. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe to Voices from the Field wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Rich Myers. ATTRA, Voices from the Field, is produced by the National Center for Appropriate Technology, headquartered in Butte, Montana. It's supported by the USDA Rural Business Cooperative Service as part of NCAT's ATTRA Sustainable Agriculture program. Any opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this recording are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the USDA or NCAT. We'll catch you again next week, and until then, keep on farming.